Hello. I was in Mississippi 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I was invited to go to a bar where our friend would play his harmonica in the band, in the small band they used to perform every Tuesday nights. Just free honorary. All they got was a couple of drinks, no money. And he played beautiful harmonica, mouth organ as we call it in India. And he said, "Come on over, since you like jazz and country, we do all that, so you'll enjoy that." I said, "Sure." So he picked me up, and we go to this bar, and we sit down, and he introduces me to his friends. They're all local white, middle-aged, rather, I would say, uh, people in their 60s, my age, little older, little younger, maybe. About four, five, six of us. We all sit there. And I'm introduced to, like, hi, 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 and then they are called for the music. So three of them go and go on the stage and start preparing for the music. And I'm sitting there sipping on my Coke, and this two people come in. Obviously, they're friends. They come and join us. There's plenty of room now that those two guys or three guys have gone to the stage. And I say hello, and they say hello back to me. And I look at one of them and I think I know him. I've seen him. I just look at him and look at him. And I asked the guy next door to me, he's a little far, like from here to this camera. I said, "Who is this? What's his name?" He said, "Oh, that's Joe Bartnick." I know him. Now that you mentioned the name, it's very clear. I know him. So I uh, say, "Excuse me," and go and sit next to him. And I said, "Joe, you remember me?" So he looks at me. Oh, definitely he hasn't remembered me. He said, "Well, I don't think so." I said, "I'm Jay. I'm Jay Thacker. I used to have a motel in Edwards, and you often used to come and visit us." And he just looks at me, "Edwards? Jay Thacker, huh? Hmm, okay." I said, "You used to run business called Classic Science, and billboards, like hoardings, we call them in India, and they call them billboards in America. Since our motel was on the interstate, we advertised on huge signs, relax in, next exit, blah, blah, blah. And he said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, okay." I knew he hasn't recognized me, but he was nice enough to say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So a few minutes later, we are talking about something else, and he's talking to the guy next to him. And suddenly he turns around and looks at me, said, "What was your name, you said?" I said, "Jay Thacker. I remember Edwards, Mississippi." He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay." And then he talks about something different, and then we all listen to the music going on. They're playing very nice music, jazz, soft jazz. And then we're sipping on our drinks, they're having beers. And suddenly he turns at me again and said, "Sorry, could you tell me your name again?" So I started wondering. So I just kind of, thinking about moving back to where I was sitting. And those guys finished. Two of them came back. So naturally, I moved and went back to my own seat. Like this was in a round, like a horseshoe sitting. So I went back to my own seat across from Joe Bartnick. So I talked to this guy next to. I said, "Henry, Joe is not well. He said, "You got it right. He has Alzheimer's. He forgets everything." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." I thought so because he kept on asking me my name. He said, "Oh, yes, yes, yes." He barely knows his name. Sometimes he even forgets that. So you're all right, like, what can we do? He's a dear friend. So every Tuesday, we take custody of him from his wife and bring him here, have a beer or two. He's always with us. Put him back in the car, take him home, and give him back to his wife. He said, "We've been doing this for a long time. That's the only time he is allowed to go out without his wife." I said, "Oh, but what happened to his business and his?" Oh, he said his wife divorced him after he started, like losing money on that billboard business, and she left him, and he was devastated for a while. And his son kind of took over the business, blah blah blah. And then he said Joe Bartnick got married again. I said, "Oh, how is his new wife?" He said, "She is very good. She really takes care of him. He is very lucky to have a wife like that. She really, really, really takes care of him, never leaves him alone, takes good care of him, nurses him. He's all right otherwise. He just kind of. I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I wish he was such a nice guy." He said, "You telling us? I mean, he was our best friend. He still is, but he doesn't know that anymore." I said, "Wow, I know, it's bad." And then Joe suddenly got up and started walking away. I said, "Hey, Joe, where are you going?" So he said, "Bathroom." I said, "Okay." So this Henry tells me, he said he's going to the bathroom. He knows where to go to the bathroom because he does that every Tuesday. But he said we have to be careful when he comes out of the bathroom. He may not come this way. He may turn right and walk straight out of the door, out of the bar. So we have to keep an eye. I said, "Really? Why would he do that?" He said, "Well, he doesn't realize that he is with us. He forgets." And then he would just walk out. Once it happened, we were talking and we didn't realize, that he has come out and he was out in the parking lot walking away from the bar. And suddenly, somebody from our bar here saw him, recognized him, and said, "Hey, Joe, where are you going? Let's go back." And they brought him back. He said, "Ever since then, we keep a very alert eye on the bathroom door." And in a few minutes, Joe came out, kind of looked around, and I was wondering whether he was going to come back to us or he was going to go away and walk out of the door. But this time, somehow, he managed to come back to us. And he sat down this time next to me. Then he said, "What was your name again?"